Hello, everyone. Dr. Mad here. Let's get mad about Macbeth. So, in this lesson, we're going to look at Act 3, Scene 4, the banquet scene. Very important scene. So, the summary is that the banquet, which means feast or dinner, is happening. The murderers come to report that Banquo has been killed, but that Florence escaped. Macbeth starts to have fits. Banquo's ghost appears and Macbeth's fits increase. Lady Macbeth berates him, tells him off really badly. The banquet ends in chaos. So, as always, let's just listen to the scene first, and then we'll go through it.
You know your own degrees. Sit down. At first and last, the hearty welcome. Ourself will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome.
Pronounce it for me, sir, to all our friends, for my heart speaks they are welcome.
See, they encounter thee with their hearts' thanks. Both sides are even. Here I'll sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Anon we'll drink a measure, the table round. There's blood upon thy face.
'Tis Banquo's, then.
'Tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched?
My lord, his throat is cut. That I did for him.
Thou art the best of the cutthroats. Yet he's good that did the like for Fleance. If thou didst it, thou art the nonpareil.
Most royal sir, Fleance is 'scaped.
Then comes my fit again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, as broad and general as the casing air. But now I am cabined, cribbed, confined, bound into saucy doubts and fears. But Banquo's safe.
Aye, my good lord, safe in a ditch he bides, with 20 trenched gashes on his head, the least a death to nature.
Thanks for that. There the grown serpent lies. The worm that's fled hath nature that in time will venom breed, no teeth for the present. Get thee gone. Tomorrow we'll hear ourselves again.
My royal lord, you do not give the cheer. The feast is so that is not often vouched while 'tis a making. 'Tis given with welcome. To feed were best at home. From thence, the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it.
Sweet remembrancer. Now good digestion, weight on appetite, and health on both.
May it please your highness, sit.
Here had we now our country's on a roof were the graced person of our Banquo present, who may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance.
His absence, sir, lays blame upon his promise. Pleased your highness to grace us with your royal company.
The table's full.
Here is a place reserved, sir.
Where?
Here, my good lord. What is that moves your highness?
Which of you have done this? Thou canst not say I did it. Never shape thy gory locks at me.
Gentlemen, rise. His highness is not well.
Sit, worthy friends. My lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. Pray you keep seat. The fit is momentary. Upon a thought he will again be well. If much you note him, you shall offend him and extend his passion. Feed and regard him not. Your Majesty. You are mad.
I and a bold one that dare look on that which might appall the devil.
Proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. All these flaws and starts, impostors to true fear, would well become a woman's story at a winter's fire authorized by her granddam. Shame myself. Why do you make such faces? When all's done, you look but on a stool.
Prithee, see there. Behold, look, lo, how say you? Why, what care I if thou canst nod? Speak, too. If charnel houses and our graves must send those we bury back, our monuments shall be the moors of kites.
Quite unmanned in folly.
If I stand here, I saw him.
Fie for shame.
blood hath been shed ere now the olden time, ere human statute purged the gentle wheel. Aye, and since, too, murders have been performed, too terrible for the ear. The time has been that when the brains were out, the man would die, and there an end. But now they rise again, with 20 mortal murders on their crowns, and push us from our stools. This is more strange than such a murder is.
My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you.
I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. I have a strange infirmity, which is nothing to those that know me. Come, love and health to all, then I'll sit down. Give me some wine, fill full. I drink to the general joy of the whole table, and to our dear friend Banquo, whom we miss. Would he were here. To all and him we thirst, and all to all. Ah, formed and quit my sight! Let the earth hide thee! Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with.
Think of this, good peers, but as a thing of custom. 'Tis no other, only it spoils the pleasure of the time.
What man dare I dare? Approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, or the Hyrcan tiger. Take any shape but that, and my firm nerves shall never tremble. Or be alive again, and dare me to the desert with thy sword. If trembling I inhabit, then protest me the baby of a girl. Hence, horrible shadow, unreal mockery, hence! Was so. Being gone, I am a man again. Pray you, sit still.
Displaced the mirth, broke the good meeting with most admired disorder.
Can such things be, and overcome us like a summer's cloud without our special wonder? You make me strange, even to the disposition that I owe, when now I think you can behold such sights and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks when mine is blanched with fear.
What sights, my lord?
I pray you, speak not. He grows worse and worse. Question enrages him. At once, good night. Stand not upon the order of your going, but go at once.
Good night, and better health attend his majesty.
A kind good night to all.
It will have blood. They say blood will have blood. Stones have been known to move and trees to speak. Augurs and understood relations have by magpies and choughs and rooks brought forth the secret man of blood. What is the night?
Almost at odds with morning, which is which.
How sayest thou that Macbeth denies his person at our great bidding?
Did you send to him, sir?
I hear it by the way, but I will send. There's not a one of them but in his house I keep a servant feed. I will tomorrow. And betimes I will to the weird sisters. More shall they speak. For now I am bent to know by the worst means the worst. For mine own good all causes shall give way. I am in blood stepped in so far that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er. Strange things I have in head that will to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanned.
You lack the season of all natures, sleep.
Come, we'll to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that wants hard use. We are yet but young indeed.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that scene. So let's go through it line by line. There's a summary. You can read that again if you want to. So the banquet is going on. Macbeth welcomes his guests, and this just means that you know your ranks. So obviously, these upper class people, they all have their ranks and they have to follow the order. So they sit down, and the Lord say thank you, and Macbeth says, "I will mix with everybody and play the humble host." But Lady Macbeth will sit on her throne and join us later. And Lady Macbeth calls out from where she's sitting, "But you can welcome them on my behalf. They are welcome." And then the first murderer appears, and Macbeth says that he's still talking to the guests and to Lady Macbeth that, yes, the guests are saying greetings to you as well. And now everybody's kind of said greeted each other, and I will sit here in the middle of everybody, and we'll drink to each other. So I mean, this is all small talk. We don't need to worry too much about that. But now he goes to the murderer and says, "There's blood on thy face," and murderer says, "Must be Banquo's then." And this is just poetic language here. So Macbeth saying, "Oh, it's better on you than inside Macbeth." In other words, it means that Macbeth, inside Banquo, meaning that Banquo is dead. Is he dispatched? Is he killed? And the murderer says, "Yes, I've cut his throat." And Macbeth compliments him, and he says, "Even better if you killed players. If so, you would be without equal. You would be the best." And he says, "No, players escaped." And Macbeth says, "Oh, here comes my fit again. Otherwise, I would have been strong as marble and kind of solid as the rock, so a big rock either sitting there or in the ground. I would be as free as air." But now, and in this line here, Shakespeare uses a triplet and also alliteration, so cabined, cribbed, confined, all of which means wrapped, okay, and full of doubts and fears. Now, this bit here is confusing, but Banquo's safe, that sort of implies that Banquo's safe, right? But it's actually the opposite. It means that he's safely killed. He's definitely dead. And the murderer says, "Yes, safe in a ditch." So he's obviously being a bit funny here, with 20 stab wounds. And each one of those would have killed him. So 20 definitely killed him. Macbeth says, "Thank you for that." And the grown serpent, that means Banquo. He's lying in the ditch. The worm is Fleance, and in later on he might become dangerous, but for now he's no danger because obviously he's a child, he's young, he's a boy, and he says to the murderer, "Okay, go away, and we'll talk again tomorrow." And then Lady Macbeth says, "Oh, my royal lord, you're not cheering people, you're not being a good host. You might as well have sold the dinner if you're not welcoming the people, and anybody can eat at home. The whole point of coming to a party is to enjoy the company and to have fun." And Macbeth says, "Oh, thank you for reminding me." And good digestion depends on having a good appetite and vice versa. So good health from both of those to all of you. I mean, this is all small talk. You don't need to worry too much about that. So Lennox says, "Please come and sit." But now the ghost of Banquo enters and sits in Macbeth's place. And initially, Macbeth doesn't notice. So remember, this is a play. It's on a stage. You always need to be thinking how it would look up on the stage. And Macbeth is being hypocritical here, saying, "Oh, if only Banquo were here. I hope that I can tell him off for being rude, and that nothing bad has happened to him." So obviously, there's dramatic irony here, right? The audience knows that Banquo's been killed, so Macbeth is pretending to care about him. And Ross says, "Oh, I'm sure that it's his fault. I'm sure nothing has happened to him. Please, Royal Highness, come and join us." And now Macbeth says the table's full. Now, again, remember this is a banquet, lots of people. It's kind of noisy and full. You can't really tell what's going on. So initially, Macbeth doesn't realize that it's Banquo's ghost. Okay, he doesn't recognize Banquo. All that happens is he looks around and he can't see an empty seat. But Lennox can see the empty seat, right? Everybody else can see the empty seat. So he says, "Oh, here's your place, sir." Macbeth says, "Where?" And Lennox says, "Here," right? Where Macbeth is supposed to sit, but where Banquo is sitting. And now Macbeth starts to realize what's going on, or he recognizes Banquo. Says, "Which of you have done this?" And the lords are puzzled, right? They don't know what he's talking about. "What, my good lord?" And now Macbeth is talking to the ghost. "Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me." He's shouting at Ghost. All right. So remember, think about if you were the director of this play, how would you direct the actors? What would you say to Macbeth at this point? How should he speak? How should he look? And Ross says, "Gentlemen, rise. King is not well." But Lady Macbeth kind of interjects here and says, "No, no, no, sit down. He's often like this. He's always been like this from youth. He's got some kind of an illness, and it will pass in a minute, momentary. This fit will pass in a minute." And she just kind of repeats that, and she says, "If you kind of notice it, then you'll offend him and you'll prolong the fit. So just carry on eating and just ignore him for a minute." And now, the way Shakespeare writes is a bit confusing because he doesn't give many stage directions. So here you have to notice. So up to about here, she's talking to the guest, but this she now turns to Macbeth and probably speaks in a lower tone. "Are you a man?" So again, berating him, talking to him in the way that she did before the murder and so on, and in a way that you wouldn't expect a woman to speak to a man at that time. Now, in that scene before, we said, "Oh, but that was in private." Here, it is in company, but she won't be saying it loudly. She'll be saying it quietly so that other people can't notice. And he says, "Yes, I'm a bold man that would look on things that would horrify the devil himself." And this is just berating him again. And she's saying, "Oh, this is just your imagination, hallucination," in the same way that you saw the air-drawn dagger, the floating dagger in the air, the hallucination, which led you to Duncan. And the way you're acting, this is not real. There's no real cause for it. And it was more like a woman behaving who's telling a story at a fire, so like a scary story, for example, with her grandmother, right? So shame itself, berating him again. "Why do you make these faces? All you're looking on is an empty stool. There's nothing there." But he can see the ghost, and he says these words: "See there, behold, look, lo. How say you?" And then he says, "Well, what do I care?" And now here, at this point, he starts to speak to the ghost. "If you could nod," so presumably the ghost. So Shakespeare indirectly tells us how people are behaving, acting in that scene. Okay, he doesn't do it in stage directions. So here, "If thou canst nod," this is in a way, an indirect stage direction that Banquo's ghost is meant to be nodding at Macbeth. Okay, so he's saying, "If you can nod, then speak to me as well." And these next few lines are a bit confusing. You don't need to worry too much about them if you're aiming for the passing grades 4 or 5, but if you're aiming higher, just listen carefully. So charnel houses are places where human remains are stored, and obviously graves. So he's saying if these places, graves and charnel houses, can send the people back that we have buried, then the birds will start to eat them. So maws means jaws of birds. So this is poetic language, really. You don't have to worry too much about what it means exactly. He's just saying that the birds will eat these bodies. Okay, and the ghost vanishes, and she's berating him again, and he says, "No, I saw him," and just an expression again, just berating him. And now this speech is difficult as well, but let's just go through it. With Shakespeare, it's best not to try and translate it word for word, okay? Because it's poetry, it's old language, it doesn't always work. You need to try and look at the sentence level and speech level. But anyway, here he's saying that murder has been committed before until human beings were civilized and laws came along. So statute means laws, okay? Real means well-being. But and then he says, well, actually, even after that, murders obviously carry on being performed. If only laws ended murders, we would never have any more murders. But obviously, some people still do murder. And he's saying too terrible for the year. So terrible murders have carried on being committed. But there was a time when once you killed somebody and buried them, that was the end of it, right? But now, and he's talking about Banquo, they rise again with 20 mortal murders. So these 20 poetic language for the 20 stab wounds, okay, and push us from our stool. So Banquo, who's been stabbed 20 times, has come back and is now sitting on Macbeth's stool. So, and this is more strange than even the original murder, right? Murder being strange in the sense that obviously murder is not a natural thing, right? And then Lady Macbeth says, "Oh, your friends are missing you." And he says, "Oh, yes, sorry, I do forget them." And now he talks to the people. Don't think too deeply about me, what's going on. I just have this strange illness, strange weakness, which is nothing to those that know me. In other words, they're used to it. Okay, come, love, and health towards. So he's trying to be cheerful again. Then I'll sit down, and he presumably here is talking to the servant, give me some wine, fill everybody's glass, and I'm going to cheer the whole table, and then also I'm going to cheer Banquo. So again, dramatic irony, being hypocritical, whom we miss. So he's saying, I'm missing Banquo. If only he were here. And to him we thirst, and to also him we drink, or we miss him. Now the ghost comes back. Now, if you were the director, how would you direct Macbeth at this point? Would he jump up? Yeah? So let's imagine he jumps up. Avon, go away and quit my sight. Get out of my sight. Let the earth hide thee. Go back under your grave. I mean, actually, we know that Banquo hasn't been buried yet. He's just in the ditch. But poetically, he's saying, let the earth bury you. Your bones are marrowless. The marrow is the soft stuff in your bones. You might have learned in biology. Your blood is cold because obviously your blood goes cold when you're dead. And speculation can mean like to think and so on. But basically, it's just saying your eyes are dead. How can you glare at me with those dead eyes, right? But again, Lady Macbeth tries to reassure the people, saying, "Oh, this is just his habit. This is just his illness. This happens sometimes." But now, obviously, it's ruining the time. It's ruining dinner. And this whole speech here, Macbeth is still talking to Banquo's ghost. And he's saying, what man dare I dare? I dare do anything that any man can do. Come at me like a tiger, like a rhinoceros, like a bear, rhinoceros, or tiger. Take any shape like that, and I'll be fine. I won't shake or tremble. Or come back to life and challenge me with your sword, challenge me to a duel. And if I tremble then, you can call me a girl's doll. Okay, baby of a girl means girl's doll. So he's saying, I'll take anything but not a ghost, not a supernatural thing. Go away, horrible shadow, ghost. Okay? Unreal mockery that you're making fun of me. He's talking to the ghost here. Go away, hence means get away from here. So the ghost vanishes, and now he's calm again. I'm a man again. Pray you sit still. He's talking to the people now. But now, obviously, Lady Macbeth has had enough, and she's saying, "Oh, you've ruined the evening." And with most admired disorder, now this word "admired" in this case, obviously, is not being used in a positive sense. Okay, it's being used in a negative sense that people are looking at you strangely and wondering what the hell's going on. And he says, "How can it be that these amazing things, ghosts come back, and that we don't get amazed? he's talking about Lady Macbeth, that she doesn't seem amazed. Now, obviously, she's not amazed because she can't see the ghost. So he says, you make me wonder at my own character, that you can look on these things and your cheeks stay red whilst mine are turning pale. Well, obviously, the simple explanation is that she can't see the ghost and he can. And in fact, Ross, and well, to a certain extent, he's possibly talking to the people as well, because obviously Ross has heard what he said, and he says, "What sights, my lord?" But Lady Macbeth says, "Look, don't talk to him. If you question him, it's just going to make things worse. Please go." And this line here means don't worry about your ranks, don't worry about who's going to go first and second. Just everybody, just go. So they say good night and wish him good health, and she says good night, and they all exit. And then this speech here, you don't need to worry too much about this speech, but this line is important. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. So once you start killing, you can't stop killing. In the same way that once you start lying, you can't stop lying. Or once you kill somebody, then their relative wants to kill you or your relative, and it just carries on like that. And then this is just poetic language for, oh, stones have been known to move and trees to speak and reveal the secrets that nobody is supposed to know. Okay. So don't worry too much about these lines here. And then this line here, he's talking to Lady Macbeth saying, what's the time, basically? And she's saying, oh, it's very late, to the point where you can't tell whether it's morning or night. And then on a different topic, he says, how is it that Macduff doesn't come when I call him? Well, presumably he should have come to the banquet, right? And he hasn't come. And she says, but did you actually formally call him? And Macbeth says, well, I've heard that he doesn't come when I call him. But okay, I will call him formally. And then he says here, I have a spy in his house. I'll find out what's going on. And also, tomorrow, early, I will go and see the three witches. And I'm going to make them speak because I want to know the worst. Okay. And this line here, for mine own good, all causes shall give, where he's saying that basically he's being arrogant, right? He's just so self-obsessed that everything is supposed to revolve around him. And then this line here saying, I'm in blood. So he's saying, I've killed so many people, I might as well carry on. And it's a bit like if you're going on a difficult journey, and initially you might think about turning back, but once you're halfway through, you might as well just carry on, right? Because coming back will be just as hard. So this is what he's saying. Okay. And now he's saying that I'm thinking of doing even worse things and I'm going to do them before I can think too much about them and maybe stop myself from doing them. And there's actually another line coming up later on, which will expand on this. Okay. And then she said, look, you're just tired. You need to sleep. And he said, yes, let's go to sleep. And he's saying that this way I'm behaving is only because I'm not used to these terrible things, these terrible murders. Okay. Okay, so that's that. There are some key quotations and there are some questions. You should stop the video, try to answer those questions before you go to the next slide. So I'm going to go to the next slide in a minute. Please pause the video and answer these questions first. So 3, 2, 1, and going to the next slide. There are your answers. And as always, I hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you learned something from it. Very important scene, some quite tricky lines. So I hope you found the video useful. And if so, please do subscribe and tell all your friends about it. And I'll see you in the next video.